What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Hero or Zero here on the Heroes for Hire podcast. My name is Shaun Mean, and joining me as always is professional wrestling announcer Ciara Lawler.
In one corner we have Shaun Mean.
He bottled it. He bottled it right at the midpoint.
I didn't know where we were going to come from. Where do we hail from? What? Are you the world champion?
No, I think we're both tag team world champions, but now we've had a rivalry and now we have to fight each other.
Yeah, we've broken up.
We broke up the team, the dynamic duo as it was.
So then my first question, I mean, not to get into too much wrestling lore, Shaun, but who broke up the team?
Ironically, it was a third party broke up the team, Connor.
Oh shit.
You had the opportunity of getting a different podcast host / wrestling partner. And when Joe Rogan comes knocking, you have to fight Shaun.
To be fair, he might be out of a job soon. He could be calling.
He could be just looking for guests.
Yeah, he's turning up hoping The Rock is there one week. Is he here? Is he not? Cena?
No,
Do we have Cena? Fuck.
I'll try again next week, lads, don't you worry. But Connor, wrestling bullshit aside,
yes.
What is Hero or Zero all about?
Hero Zero is the show where we choose one comic book character every single week. We talk their good points and their bad points, and we just generally give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. Normally I chat about DC characters, Shaun chats about Marvel characters.
More indeed.
I covered Mr. Terrific last week, so Shaun, it is your week to do a report on a Marvel character, and I'm interested to know who you've chosen.
I've chosen a character, and I'll be honest, chosen this character specifically because they've been in the news recently. Okay. Because a lady named Dakota Johnson announced that they will be playing a version of this character in the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, or Spunka, as we like to call it here on the show.
I wish you'd ran that past me before you did.
God, that's what the abbreviation spells. Like, I don't design these things.
But when you say it, that's what we call it on the show. That implies I've given that the go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. If you don't want to call it Spunka, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I don't want to call it Spunk.
Sorry, Connor, you cut out for a second. So, Cassandra Webb, Madam Webb in Marvel Comics.
Okay, fair enough.
So, this is a character who is generally tied to the more like mystical side of Spider-Man. There's been a couple of versions of this character as well. I'm going to be covering the original Madam Web, who is like an old lady. She might as well be 500 years old, but she's probably like 90. So this is a version I don't know if Dakota Johnson will play, but I might cover that version later on in the future.
Okay.
So, starting off with the original Madam Web, Cassandra Webb was born and raised in Salem, Oregon. She was born blind and suffered from a neurological condition known as myasthenia gravis.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah. So basically, she is paralysed. She cannot move her body. Okay. It did have a side effect, though. She developed powerful psychic abilities, and she used them to become a medium, so she could commune with the dead, essentially.
Okay, so far so
good. Salem witches, all that kind of stuff. We've all seen WandaVision. Yeah. And so then, she kind of pops up in Marvel Comics through Spider-Man, as you can imagine, which was a character called Deborah Whitman. Showed Peter an advert for Madam Web, who was basically offering her services as a medium.
Can I just ask, this might sound smart, is Deborah any relation to Dane?
No, she's not. It's a horrible coincidence. But actually, Deborah Whitman is one of the most fucked over characters in Marvel Comics. Okay, very briefly, Deborah Whitman she had a crush on Peter Parker, right? But Peter Parker, with his life as Spider-Man, was always like blowing her off, giving her excuses as to why he could never go out with her. So eventually she just kind of settled for someone, and then she began to have dreams. She was still in love with Peter Parker. She began to have dreams about Peter Parker being Spider-Man as like this heroic figure. to the point that like her mental state started to deteriorate. And this is, you can absolutely tell this is like a 60s, 70s comic, because she goes to a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist is like, oh, we just need Peter Parker to dress up as Spider-Man. Then you'll see that they're different people.
It was one of two ways in the 60s. It was either, we'll get Peter to dress up, or would you ever cop on? Would you fucking just sort yourself out?
A quick slap is what they would give, probably. Like,
grow up, they'd say.
And so, like, Peter refuses for ages. She ends up, like, getting married to, like, this abusive husband, all of this shit.
What the fuck?
Peter eventually does it, dresses up as Spider-Man, and she basically, to use a 60s medicine term, snaps out of it. And she gets a divorce from your man, leaves New York, and just goes about the rest of her life. Then, Civil War happens. And Spider-Man takes off his mask and reveals that he's Peter Parker. And so Deborah is just like, all those years I thought I was insane. You could have just told me. Like, I would have kept your secret. You made me think I was insane. You gaslit me for decades.
Holy shit.
She releases a book in Marvel Comics called How Spider-Man Ruined My Life.
That's amazing.
So that's who Deborah Whitman is.
Oh my, I just assumed she was Dane Whitman, who is being played by Kit Harington in the Eternals. But, I mean, that story, I don't want to come down hard on it, but I think this Peter Parker guy, he's a bit of a menace. I don't want to sound too much like J. Jonah Jameson here.
I think you'd be in good company with that kind of statement, Connor.
An absolute menace to New York.
She's just been fucked over so hard by Peter Parker. It's unreal. But anyway, she shows him this ad for this mystic, Madam Web, and Peter Parker's like, nah, she's a fake, she's a phony. It's no use. However, the Daily Bugle was attacked, and Peter found a clue linking to Madam Web. That meant that Madam Web could basically help him to find the criminal who had attacked the Daily Bugle, right?
Okay.
So she can like see the future. She can see all kinds of things. She's not a fake. So not only does she help him to locate the criminals, she turns up later at Peter's apartment and says, "I know you're Spider-Man," because she just knows inherently at this point.
Could she not have told you one either?
I think there's this grand conspiracy to just fuck over Deborah Whitman.
I feel like this should be Deborah's episode. We need
Maybe,
to cover this poor woman.
I feel we're now too attached to Deborah is the issue.
I just emotionally, she's been through a tough time. And Madame Web could have solved that either.
Oh yeah, like in a heartbeat. But which is in many ways is worse because she chose not to, you know?
Oh yeah, that's just pure shithousery at that point.
Yeah. Like Peter, you can argue he's protecting his identity, but Madam Web, come on now. You have no ball in this game.
She's a menace to New York as well.
Alright, JJ. So then the next couple of years, she just pops up in comics basically as Peter Parker would go to her for help tracking down criminals and things like that. Now, one time she was kidnapped by the Juggernaut on the orders of my favourite villain, Black Tom Cassidy, who we've also talked about on the show.
Can I just... 2 points. One, obviously, Black Tom Cassidy. Isn't he? Yeah. He's Irish. So
very Irish. Very Irish man.
Give him a shout out. Secondly, how do you kidnap someone who can see the future?
The very next line in...
Unless we do the old... But I wanted to be kidnapped.
No. So...
No, not that smart. No, she's just caught on the hop.
No, what happened was... So, Juggernaut was sent to kidnap Madam Web, and the very next line... But thanks to her abilities, she knew he was coming and contacted Spidey to help stop him.
I mean, thank God.
Yeah. However, the Juggernaut beat Spider-Man and took her captive. The Juggernaut then unknowingly took her off of her life support system, where she fell unconscious and began to die. He then dropped her, seeing no use in her, and then she was taken to the hospital and saved. So her chair is basically a life support system, and it's got all these pipes and cables and shit, so it looks like a spider. That's
and the Juggernaut, not the most medically advanced human being in Marvel.
You say that, he is quite clever. Like, but he probably didn't think the chair was keeping this woman alive.
He also is the Juggernaut bitch, though, to be fair.
He is football hooligan Vinnie Jones, that's true. So yeah, she was taken to the hospital and saved. Later, Spider-Man visited her, but discovered, Connor, that she was suffering from amnesia.
The woman who can see the future can suddenly has forgotten the past. Oh shit!
Really, she has. Like, also, I might stress as well. Like, she is blind as well. Like,
okay.
So everything she can see, just because she sees like a second ahead of her all the time.
All right,
if that makes sense.
But now she can't remember a second behind her.
Well, here's the thing: she might still remember things, because when Spider-Man comes to visit her in hospital, she's like, "Oh, will you turn on the TV for me, young man?" And Spider-Man turns on the TV, and he sees a clue that helps him to find Hobgoblin.
Oh.
So it's implied that she knew to turn on the TV in that moment to help Spider-Man. So she might just be bullshitting it.
But to what end?
That's the thing, because like they're allies. It's not like they have anything to really hide from each other.
Like, you're not. Is she double crossing him by helping him?
Maybe she just doesn't want him to keep turning up asking for information.
He's annoying her because Peter Parker has just decided to become lazy, and he's I'll just fucking ask her. Like she can see the future. Like, I'm going to go to Madame Web and just ask her what the story is.
She knows every answer before it happens, like.
Yeah, like, why am I worrying about fucking Green Goblin when she can tell me whether I win or not and how I win? And then we'll save everyone's time.
So, there was a thing in the comics then called the Gathering of Five, and it's like this witchy ceremony type thing. It's a ritual where people bring together kind of relics. Once those relics are brought together, they're randomly blessed with a power. Or it's either, what was it? It's power, knowledge, immortality, insanity, or death. So you're kind of rolling the dice, you know? So, like, if you get power, knowledge, or immortality, happy days. If you're the poor lad who gets insanity or death, oh, no. But the thing is, and this is a very comic book thing, is that the powers aren't always what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get knowledge, you might actually go insane from the amount of knowledge you know.
Right, and of course immortality. You might also then wish for death. Exactly,
it might be more of a curse to be immortal.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Norman Osborn took part in this.
Of course he did, by the way. Like, Norman Osborn, regular shithouse.
Yeah, Norman Osborn is happy with any of those 5 results, by the way.
I'll kill you, I'll kill me, I don't give a fuck. Let's see what happens.
I just want something to happen today. He got insanity. But his insanity also gives him power. No effect.
Not very effective.
Norman is already insane. And Madame Web then received immortality. But her immortality tends to give her knowledge as well, you know, so it's this whole weird mix of things. It also made her look much younger as well. She was actually kind of given the appearance of like a 30, 40-year-old woman instead of, you know, the multi-century-old woman that she had looked like before. Okay. And rejuvenated, she called upon Jessica Drew and Julia Carpenter, who were the first 2 Spider women, along with Mattie Franklin, who would go on to become the 3rd Spider Woman, to aid her in subduing her granddaughter Charlotte Witter. who had been turned into a Spider-Woman at the hands of Dr. Octopus. She was going around causing all kinds of hassle and trouble for everyone, Connor.
Comic books are fun. Look,
comic books are fun and dumb.
Is it her stepdaughter or her actual daughter?
Granddaughter.
Oh, sorry, her granddaughter has been kidnapped and been made to be Spider-Woman, like, against her will. And so now she's got to assemble the old team, get the old gang back together of Spider-Women.
Got to get the gals in to help out.
Because they're the only ones that can stop her.
Yeah, oh, of course. They're the only ones. Like, you're not calling Spider-Man or the Avengers or,
Thor.
Literally anyone else.
Kick the shit out of her.
Come kill this child.
It's like Captain Marvel on the phone to her.
So, the granddaughter was defeated, but she siphoned away Madam Web's telepathy, re-aging her in the process. So she's back to being an old woman.
That sentence, by the way, has a lot of words, but you just said the phrase, she siphoned away her telepathy.
She can Charlotte, the granddaughter, she can drain spider powers by touching people.
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
If without that knowledge, that just sounded like some of the craziest things you've ever said. Like, she just looked at her and was like, less of telepathy.
She got a hose and then sucked on it and then poured all the telepathy into a bucket and then she drank it.
Now you're done for. You're all mine.
So, with the help of Spider-Man, so they had to get a man involved, of course.
Of course. She's going around like, all these Spider-Women, shit! They're fucking shit, man.
We need the OG, the original.
I think we can all just assume that they wanted that comic cover. Like, they're like, okay, well, we've done the Spider. What could sell more issues? Well, obviously we've Peter Parker. Let's just put him on the cover.
Yeah, the lad that sells comics. Yeah, bring him in, please.
Bring him
in. So they discovered how to drain Charlotte's power. So they drained all the power out of her, leaving her in a coma. Madam Web was now young again. She's just flip-flopping on all of this. And then, you're going to love this, Connor. Because this is one of those things in comic books where they've definitely written themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
So, she performs psychic surgery to sever her link to Charlotte and removed her memories of Spider-Man's identity. You're with me? You still with me?
Sorry, hang on.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, hang on. She uses her brain, her telepathy, to sever ties between her and her granddaughter. Correct?
Yes. So their minds are no longer linked.
Oh, well, of course, that's a normal storyline, everyday occurrence.
Everything happens.
But then to add to that, she's also taken away Charlotte's knowledge that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yes, because
and
they realised...
her amnesia.
They've given her amnesia, but specifically about Peter Parker Spider-Man.
I feel like there's too much amnesia.
There's a lot of amnesia in this story. One thing I wanted to get across, and I'm aware, it sounds like I'm bouncing around with this character, but she just pops up and weird shit happens for most of this kind of version of her. And in the next version, they focus and refine it all.
I would say at this point she is absolutely... we've written ourselves into a corner. How do we get all these characters back to where we started?
Literally, yeah. That you just need this... She's like a Doctor Strange, just able to reset anything at a moment's notice.
Okay.
So, sometime after all of this, Madam Web was captured by the Kravinoff family to help them defeat Spider-Man and resurrect Kraven. Now, we talked about this story in the Kraven the Hunter episode. This is where they bring together a bunch of spider people to use as sacrifices, and they end up sacrificing Kane Parker to bring back Kraven, but this means that only Peter Parker can ever actually kill Kraven from now on. That was a whole thing we went through. You hated it at the time, I do remember that.
It's so silly. It's just silly.
So, angry because of that failure, that killing Kraven could only be done by Spider-Man now, Madam Web's throat was slit by one of Kraven's daughters. In the last moment of her life, Cassandra Webb transferred her powers to Julia Carpenter, the second Spider-Woman, leaving her the mantle of Madam Web.
Right.
So this is, I think, now, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think the writers just realised, listen, we've kind of hit the limit of what we can do with this character.
And even to this point, we've been kind of stretching it, lads, if we're honest with ourselves.
And it's kind of been just whatever we need it, whenever we need it. And so I think this is just their way of just being able to have a Madam Web type character, but just focused in on, here's exactly what she's able to do, and she'll be consistently written from here on. You know, this happens a lot with characters from the 60s, to be fair.
Yeah, it happens across the board in Marvel, DC, everything. Like, you come up with a character, and then they're very broad, and then what happens, especially in the last 30 years, is they're like, we can't just write this character broad. Like, it has to be refined in some way. Like, that's why Crisis on Infinite Earths exists in DC. Like, you've got 1,000 characters, they're like, only really 300 of them are, like, slightly decent, so how do we get the other 600 or 700 like to be better?
Yeah, and it's a common thing that happens, and I do think they handled it well, and we'll touch on that in a later episode. But generally, into powers and abilities, just for Madam Web in general, she has the abilities of telepathy, clairvoyance, and prescience, so she knows what's going on at the minute and in the future.
That's it.
She can also,
it's broken. Really,
it is. It's too much. It's too much. Like, especially when she also has astral projection, so she can project her consciousness outside her body. Psychic surgery, mind alteration.
Wait, you said she was immortal?
Oh, she also has immortality, yeah.
So she can see everything that's ever going to happen to her and anyone else, and also she's immortal.
Pretty much.
You can kind of see why they nerfed her.
They really, this character really got an accelerated level of power very quickly.
Like, they gave her just all of the powers, and then they were like, oh fuck, we have a character that literally nothing bad can ever happen to. Because there's never
to
any
her
stakes.
Or anyone that she cares about.
Because she'll just know, and also if she tries to defend them, she also can't die.
And also, if anyone does sneak up on her, she can just, like, cut the ability to breathe out of their mind.
Yeah, starting to make sense. The Professor Extra.
They did. They really did. And look, you know, weaknesses, Connor. She's blind, you know?
But you just said she can see anything.
But not with her eyes. You know?
Like she can't see, like, that car, but she can tell you where the car is going to be 40 minutes from now.
Yeah, and she can tell you who's driving it and where it's been.
And what they look like and what colour the car is.
And how they'll die.
Fucking hell. Okay.
And also, she is paralysed, so she lacks most of the functions in her limbs, and needs to be confined to a special chair to stay alive.
But they've made her young now.
No, sorry, after she was old when she died, basically. Okay. She got old again. No, when she was... Don't we all? You're all older than when you started listening to this episode. Yep. But... But yes, you are right though, is that, like, when she was young, she did have a bit more mobility. But they, again, just wrote that out because... like, that character needs some level of nerf at all times. Otherwise, like, they're just broken. Like, 1 to 7 rating system, Connor. Durability of 1, energy projection of 1, fighting skills of 1, intelligence of 7, speed of 1, and strength of 1. So she's really specialised, and she knows everything that'll ever happen ever. You know?
But I feel like knowing everything that's going to happen ever is more effective than having a 7 in strength.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Like, if you... Yeah, because, like, Thor is really strong. Or, sorry, let's say Wolverine. You know, 7 in strength. But, like, maybe a 3 or a 4 in intelligence. Like, he can't outthink this woman. Like, he can't beat her. It's impossible.
Like, I think she might beat everyone.
I think so. I think she's, like, if she were a mutant, she would be, like, Omega level or beyond Omega level.
Because you would just like, you couldn't kill her. She would tell everything that everyone was always going to happen ever, and as you said, she would just tell you to stop reading. And you'd be like, okay.
And you'd be like, Grant, thank you very much.
And if you had superpowers, she would make you forget that you had those superpowers.
Yeah, she could. Then you have another sentry on your hands. I just love the sentry. I love talking about the sentry. But I think you'll see it when I do the next one. But the next Madam Web is able to, walk around and things like that. Still blind, but has full control of her limbs and has spider powers. So the level of the, future seeing and mind alteration, that's dropped considerably versus this version of Madam Web. So it's a more even spread that they have going forward.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, that's a beginner's guide to Madam Web. The character is really inconsistent and overpowered for most of her comic book run, but I hope it gives people a little idea of what the character is about, and we'll see where it goes in the future.
She's all braids.
Like myself.
Absolutely not. If you liked what you heard here, you can of course give us a like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. We are on all the platforms, so whatever you're listening to on, I think even a 5-star, 4-star, I think that would help. If you wanted to write a comment, that would be absolutely spectacular.
Game changer.
You can also even more support the show just by going over to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. You get all access to all of our extra episodes, all of our extra movie reviews, TV show reviews, just generally a whole bunch more content that's over there. And you can follow us on all the social medias. We're on Twitter at Heroes for Hire Pod. The 4 is the number 4. Facebook is Heroes for Hire Podcast. We also have a Facebook discussion group called Detective Divilment's Discussion Group that you can of course join and join in with all the other listeners. And most importantly, you can just tell one human being that we exist.
Just the one, please.
So I've been Ciara Lawler.
I have been Shaun Meehan.
And we shall see you all next week, guys.
Bye.